I don't know that it'll help, but what we can do is this, watch. Another one. That will work, because this is ridiculous.
It's just muted right now.
Let's try it. I am on the KV mic. Can you hear me? Am I on? Can you hear me? This is what happened last time. Well, I was going to move another microphone to them.
Oh, for that?
But I can't hear me on the microphone.
It's just really soft.
Yours is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you sound very loud. I'm on this mic. Did, but it didn't help. And so I put the volume up a little bit. Let me see if I can get this thing to. Yep, I was, but we couldn't hear. Sound was broken. Yep. Nope, we're not unmuted. Can you hear me? Am I on there? Let's try moving it. Yeah, I can hear that, but you can't hear me talking. Somebody's trying to tell us we're supposed to be Shabbos kind of Jews that don't use electricity on Shabbat. That's what we're supposed to do. You can kind of hear me now, right? I will project. We will make this work. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh my goodness, this place filled up. Thank you. Stay close. It keeps you warm. The Hebrew word of the day, which I forgot to write out for you, is kar. You know what kar means? Cold. So the way to say I am cold, you don't say, in most languages, you don't say I am and cold, because then it means that, you know, like I am Jana or I am tall. You don't say that. You say I am, you say, in Hebrew you say, it is cold to me. That's how I know that it's cold. So you say Carly. So you say Carly, and it means I'm cold. That's what it means. It's an easy thing to remember. Sorry? I know, it's tricky. You could say Carl, and it's a hard thing to remember, except that, do you know any Carlys who are cold? I don't know. Then it makes it easier to remember. If you want to say I am warm or hot, you say Hamli. That's harder to say, and you don't know too many people whose names are Hamli, so it's going to be harder to remember. But on a night like tonight, hopefully you can remember Carly. Carly. Or you could remember about your car, maybe? Carly. So Carly means I'm cold. But we're toasty in here. We turned up the heat. You should feel pretty cold, toasty, right? And can you hear this at all? All right, we got it. Nice. All right, so it's been a long week. Anybody else have a long week? No, it's got the same 7 days in it, Rabbi. I don't know what you're talking about. Nope, it doesn't feel like it. Although, I feel like you were just sitting here not long ago. Some of the people who are here, I feel like I just saw you here a minute ago, so that makes the week feel short. But other than that, every day was filled with almost exclusively unexpected things. I mean, filled with unexpected things. So I hope that so it made the week feel really long, because you set out your day to do something, and you accomplish a lot of things that were not on your list. So it was one of those weeks for me. But the good news is, when the sun is down, it looks like the sun went down. You know what happens when the sun goes down tonight? Shabbat and my birthday. The first of my 3 birthdays. Woot! It's the 4th of Adar. Yay! So I'm happy about that. Nobody else has to be happy about that, but it was. But I like knowing that I didn't miss it, because you know how many times I missed that. So we're going to take a deep breath and start our Shabbat. Take a breath. Let it out. Way slower than if you're blowing candles. Although, the older I get, the slower I have to blow out all those candles. Take another deep breath. And let it out really slowly. Feel some peace. Feel those shoulders loosening. And welcome to Shabbat. We are going to begin the service tonight. I know it's going to seem surprising to you. We did service 2 last time. We're going to do service 3 this time. And service 3, as you know, begins on page 82. And tonight we're calling up Sydney and Sue, Sydney Kent, Sue Rubenstein. Please come up and help us. Light the candles, bless the Kiddush. Our tradition is please rise, even when the rabbi doesn't remember you're supposed to stand, which I've been pretty good at. Page 82.
These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illumine our uncertain steps. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty and that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Sabbath of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvah and command us to kindle the Sabbath lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue on the bottom of pages 167 and 166 with the Kiddush, sanctification of the day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagofen.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You call us to holiness with the mitzvah of Shabbat, the sign of your love, a reminder of your creative work, and of our liberation from Egyptian bondage, our day of days. On Shabbat especially, we hearken to your call to serve you as a holy people. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of Shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
You got a special vintage just for
I
me.
did, just for you. How did you know? That's exactly what we did. Exactly what we did. Please tell everybody that you came in with Shabbat Shalom. Please tell anybody you see near you that didn't come in with you, Shabbat Shalom. Please, Shabbat Shalom. And then you may be seated. We are going to continue our service on page 84 as we welcome all of the angels that are accompanying us this Shabbat.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's why.
What do I want to do?
Shalom Aleichem, Malkei Hasharet, Malkei Elyon, Mimelech, Malkei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rotem LaShalom, Malkei Hashalom, Malkei Elyon.
one of the reasons I picked this service is because of what it says on page 85. The Torah portion for this week is Terumah, which has to do with the donations that God asked for and collected in order to build a tabernacle so that God can dwell among us. It's what it says at the top of the sign just outside this room. Build me a mikdash and I will dwell among you. And that's what this is supposed to be for us here, is the place that we build so that God dwells among us, which can mean here in this place or here in this place. The synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel. Born of our longing for the living God, it has been to Israel throughout our wanderings a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast it has stood as the champion of justice, mercy, and peace.
Its truths are true for all people. Its love is a love for all people. Its God is the God of all people. As it has been said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples.
Let all the family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here, and here find life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye b'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala uvizman kariv v'meru amen. Yeheshme Rabba mevarach la'alam ul'almei amaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpahar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemeh dekudisha
Berichu.
leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'meru amen. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
Oh God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, you cannot see my face, but I will make my goodness pass before you. Even so does your goodness pass before us, in the realm of nature and in the joys and sorrows of life.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, in last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness. Then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live within our hearts, and we, through righteousness, behold your presence. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated unless you're ready to help me lead the V'ahavta. Anybody volunteering to help me lead the V'ahavta? How come it's always these kids? I don't have anybody over 13 who ever wants to. No, I'm just kidding. That's okay. No? It's okay. Ready? Who's going to help? Alexander, you want to start us off, please? ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Would you continue with the English, please?
You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words which I command you today
Upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God.
God. Nice job, everybody. I, the Eternal One, have called you to righteousness and taken you by the hand and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
We are Israel, witness to the covenant between God and God's children.
This is the covenant I make with Israel. I will place my Torah in your midst and write it upon your hearts. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
We are Israel. Our Torah forbids the worship of race or nation, possessions or power.
You who worship gods that cannot save you, hear the words of the Eternal One. I am God, there is none else.
We are Israel. Our prophets proclaimed an exalted vision for the world.
Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice well up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream.
We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed.
You shall not oppress your neighbors nor rob them. You shall not stand idle while your neighbor bleeds.
We are Israel, taught to beat swords into plowshares, commanded to pursue peace.
Violence shall no longer be heard in your land, desolation and destruction within your borders. All your children will be taught of your God, and great shall be the peace of your children.
We are Israel, O God, when we are witnesses to your love and messengers of your truth.
You are my witnesses, says the Eternal One, and my servant whom I have chosen. Know me, therefore, and put your trust in me.
We are Israel, O God, when we proclaim you God, our Redeemer, as did our ancestors on the shores of the Red Sea.
Said, the Eternal One delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. O God, spread over us your shelter of peace, of quiet and calm, and bless us with rest. And let a time come when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish, a time of happiness, of contentment and rest. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We give thanks for the night and its rest and the promise of peace for all the world. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat
לדורותם ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 93 in our books. Wink. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. God of all generations, of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, be praised. Your wondrous creative power fills heaven and earth.
God of life and death be praised. Through us and help to the falling, healing to the sick, freedom to the captive. Confirm your faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust.
Awesome and holy God, be praised. With acts of love and truth we hallow your name. As it is said, be holy, for I, your eternal God, am holy.
God of times and seasons, be praised. Enable us through Sabbath rest to explore and learn and impart the meanings of your Torah. Make our hearts ready to serve you this day and all days.
God who answers prayer, be praised. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God.
Source of life and its wonders, be praised. You are the miracle within all we behold. You are goodness, you are compassion. We give thanks to you forever.
God of peace, of justice, and of love, be praised. Inspire us to banish forever hatred, war, and bloodshed. Help us to establish forever one human family united in peace. God of peace, bless us with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lekol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'anecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
Take a moment of silent prayer, prayers that are in our hearts. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. We now turn to the inside back cover of our prayer book as our hearts and our prayers turn to those who are ill or recuperating. And I have to turn off the microphones, which you'd think would be an easy thing to do. As we include these names. We didn't know this, Audrey Aronson, Sue Barber, Phil Barfus, Lizzie Stone, Larry Courtney, Nathan Diane, Doug Delaney, Linda Engelberg, Alan Ginsberg, Jay Graff, Jen Costello-Hurst, Audrey and Liz Carroll, Henry Lefkowitz, Sophie and William Lakewood, Joel and Tim Levin, Angie Mulroney, Patty Parker, Brooks Brandon, Nancy West, Phil Brown, Justin Samuel, Nate Sophia, Tricia Sophia, Marvin Sheldon, Susan Sheldon, Anita Simpson, Paula Stahl, Michael Stahl, Sister Mary Joan, Virginia Walker, Ethan Weiss, Stephen Ray, Gigi Zielinski. If you have names that you would like to include in our prayers, please call them out. for all these names, for the names you choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud, please pray with me together. Oh God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones.
May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh Cholim. We praise you, eternal God,
the source of healing and health.
Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we've entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom and protecting us in this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they've been called to serve. Give them courage to succeed and strength to persevere. May they return home safely, and let us say, Amen. All right, I'm going to go to a topic that I don't usually get to talk about. There's a holiday coming up this week, and it's not my birthday. It's the 14th of, what? It's not my other birthday. Give me another couple of weeks. I'll keep saying that over and over. This is fun. Nope, Valentine's Day. And so I have a joke, and I like to say, what do I say, Tim? I say, Rabbi doesn't say celebrate Saint Anybody's Day. That's what I do. But I'm going to pose again the question about, is it okay for Jews to celebrate Valentine's Day? And I get mixed answers every time I ask that question. And I'm going to give you a very a definitive answer about whether Jews should celebrate Valentine's Day. And I don't always do that. I usually give you a very tentative answer. So first I'm going to ask you a couple questions. If I were to ask you what is the sexiest Jewish day of the year, don't listen. No, what's the sexiest day of the Jewish calendar? What would you say? Nice. Nice. This is true. And then what's the second sexiest day? You may find that this is even sexier. Wait till you hear. What's the sexiest day on the Jewish calendar? And the answer, what? Well, it depends on how drunk you get. No, I'm just kidding. She said Purim. No, I don't know. No, this is serious. I would say Shabbat because it's, double mitzvah and all that. It's a very lovey-dovey holiday, right? Shabbat is supposed to be. So, okay, so we didn't do so well at that test. Sorry. So what if I were just talking about love and not Shabbat? Historically, not very many people do this anymore, but historically there were two holidays that were kind of neck and neck about the most love-oriented holidays. What would you say are the two most love-oriented? Oh, you are 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2 he got. And the answer is Yom Kippur is one of the two most loving. I know, everybody's like, what? And the other one is a holiday called Tu B'Av, which is the 15th of the month of Av, which first row here knew that. And those are both days that historically, according to the Talmud, were days when the people would frolic, the young single adults would frolic, women would wear only white so that nobody was judging them on their bling, only on their character of their hearts, I guess, I don't know what. But they would frolic, and it was a day of choosing partners. That was called Tu B'Av. That still comes during the summer. That's a real holiday. I'm sad we don't do more of that, but it is a good, frolicky, lovey-dovey holiday. It is arguably a precursor to what Valentine's Day has turned into. But Yom Kippur, according to the Talmud, was just as frolicky and lovey-dovey. It has very obviously turned into something the opposite of that. No touchy-touchy on Yom Kippur. So it's turned into the opposite. I don't know if they're whatever, but it's the opposite. So one of the points I want to make is that holidays change over time. Yom Kippur is not that. We don't even recognize it. It is kind of hard to believe that Yom Kippur was ever that. But I'm going to tell you that Valentine's Day has changed that kind of radically over the years as well, which is important to the answer that I need to give you about whether Jews can celebrate Valentine's Day. And that is that once upon a time, according to historians, it truly was what we used to call Saint Valentine's Day, that it really had to do with a saint. Do you know who Saint Valentine was? And the answer is, no, you don't, because no one seems to know. The Catholic scholars don't even know who St. Valentine was. There are 2 references that think that maybe he was possibly the very, very first of the saints that came during a saint period. I don't know. I'm not here to teach you about Catholicism, except I can tell you that one of my favorite things that has happened in Catholicism in my lifetime was Vatican II. And that was 50 years ago, or right about now, 50 years ago. It was in 1969 that Vatican II came out. One of my favorite reasons why I love Vatican II is because before Vatican II, I got beat up for killing Jesus. After Vatican II, I didn't. And because St. Valentine's Day was no longer called St. Valentine's Day, the Pope took away the saint part of Valentine's Day officially from the Catholic calendar. Because the Pope, none of the Catholic scholars were convinced that they knew who St. Valentine was or why it was connected, and that's a true story. I'm just saying. So it is no longer connected to Saint Valentine anything. And the word Valentine has come to mean something different. When I was in elementary school, and I'm presuming it's still the same, every child was obligated to have a Valentine for every other child. Do you still have to do that? We didn't want anybody to feel left out. It was a really kind of an important holiday, not just because nobody felt left out, and everybody usually got the same kind of a card, but we also learned how to address envelopes and made mailboxes. It was important. It served a lot of important purposes. But it gave me what my understanding initially of what Valentine's Day was, is that you ask someone to be your Valentine. And what does that mean to a second grader or third grader? What does that mean? Doesn't it mean be my friend and everybody gets to be friends? So let's say somebody said yes. I mean, I have a feeling that sometimes there's somebody you particularly want to have say yes about that. And so what happens when they do? So what happens when they say yes? Usually there are conditions. So sometimes you say, oh, you want to be my Valentine? What does that mean to you? And so it could be that somebody says, well, it means I'll walk you home every day from school and I'll carry your books for you. Well, yeah, you could be my Valentine. Why not? Wait a minute, I can carry my own books. I don't need you to carry my books. It could go a bunch of different ways, right? So I wanted to bring this up because in the Torah portion this week, I know, how am I bringing Torah portions into this? The Torah portion this week is about making donations and bringing gifts. Last week it was about commandments. So I'm envisioning, in some ways, how do I make Valentine's Day be about us, be about our Torah, be about us, how we tie it together. So imagine this. God says to the children of Israel, would you be my Valentine? And the children of Israel says, well, what are you going to do for us? You know, so far you've been kind of invisible. And God says, well, I'll take you out of Egypt. I'll bring you from freedom. And there's this giant puddle. I'll take off my coat and I'll put it on the puddle and you can walk across on dry land, right? You remember those days? Yeah, I saw it in movies. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that. But, and God says that. And the children of Israel said, sure. What do we need to do? And God said, I'm glad you asked. And he brings out this list of 613 commandments. And did we say no? We said, well, we'll do that. Well, okay, we'll do that. I mean, seems like a good deal for us. Is there anything else you need us to do? Because we really do love you. And God said, well, would you build me a tabernacle so I can dwell among you? And the children of Israel, the ones who just got freed from slavery, said, building things? Oh, yeah, we can build stuff. Just show us what to do. We're good at building stuff. Where are the bricks? Where's the mud? And God says, no. It's not going to be that kind of thing. It's going to be a temporary thing. It's going to go wherever you go. That's where I will go. I'll be with you wherever you go. And they said, well, that's a pretty cool thing. Do you have, a plan? And God says, look at this plan. And God describes the blueprints. And we said, sure. Where are our bricks? What do you want us to build it with? And God said, well, I'll tell you what. This is something I'm going to need from you. In the wilderness, there are no bricks. I'm not going to make you make it. I need you to bring stuff. I need you to make stuff and bring stuff so that we could build this. And the children of Israel said, yes, we are happy to do this so that you could be with us because we would be thrilled to have you as our Valentine. Because you are the coolest God out of all the gods that were in our class. And we are so lucky to have you as our Valentine. So, do Jews get to celebrate Valentine's Day? We actually do. It really is okay for us to celebrate Valentine's Day. And I don't just mean that we get to have this lovey-dovey thing that goes on between us and God. We can have Valentine's Day with each other. We can give a Valentine to everybody in our class. And in fact, we do every day when you say, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the way we live our lives. We try to make it so that every day we're giving out cards to everybody. Now, of course, the Valentine's Day that comes on the 14th of February every year has different kinds of pressures with different kinds of gifts sometimes. I'm very sad about those things because it's sometimes like nobody can ever do a good enough job to make everybody happy all the time. So take the pressure off of the one day. Make every day a Valentine's Day. Make everybody be your Valentine, just like the good old days. And who knows who's going to walk you home and carry your books this week. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Madam Vice President, would you come up and tell us what's going on this week? We've got some news for you that you did not expect. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. And thank you. You have to say it in Hebrew. Yom Huledet Sameach.
That'll skip. Thank you, Sue and Sydney, for the blessings starting our evening off. Tomorrow, February 9th, we'll have Kiddush Shabbat for families with young children. From 9 to 9:30, Rabbi Jana will lead a fun, musical, active service and tell a story. I wonder if it'll be about Valentine. The people of the book are scheduled to meet at 7 p.m. this coming Tuesday to discuss the book The Last Watchman of Old Cairo by Michael David Lucas. Contact Helene if you're planning to attend. Rabbi Jana's brother, who is also Sheila Lawrence's son and Max and Ron's uncle, I just thought I'd add that, his name is Eric Lawrence, is a Grammy Award-winning musician. He will be visiting the last weekend in February. We have not finalized the details, but we're planning to have him do a sound sanctuary musically guided meditations workshop at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 21st, and we will have a jazzy Shabbat service Friday, February 22nd. The Onyx Shabbat is hosted by Ruthie Neerman, who happily shares the sweetness of her birthday celebration. Donations were made to B'nai Zion or for the Pulpit Flowers in memory of Dora Weiss Dibner by Gloria Rosen, in loving memory of Mrs. Ray Marks Gilbert by her family, in loving memory of Francis R. Cressman by Mandel Selber Jr., and in loving memory of Jean Van Oss by Herman Van Oss and family.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. If you are awake and you want to help me open the ark and you're under the age of 15, then you're welcome to come up. And everybody else is turning to page 148, and we will rise. So my brother does these healing workshops, and he calls it Sound Sanctuary. We didn't, but we'll be in the sanctuary, and he'll make a lovely sounds.
It'll make a lovely sound.
Everyone, please rise when we open the ark. 148. Yay. Come, they're standing already. You don't want to make them stand for a long time. Trust me on this. Look at the Torahs. Aleinu
Yagaleadon hakol latet gedula leyotzeh bereshit shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot velo samanu k'mishpakot ha'adama shelo sam kelkenu kahem begor aleinu k'kol hamonam v'anachnu Takavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlakim hakadosh baruch hu.
And on the facing page, we will sing together.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
When the ark is closed, you may be seated. You got it? Got it. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death, and I'm going to let you choose whichever selection you would like or whatever is in your heart. We take a moment of silent remembering. We continue on page 153. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has taken from us this past month. We remember Dr. Richard Langford. And we remember the congregants' parents who died within the past year. We remember Sarah David and Flo Selber, Gloria Meyer, Richard Stewart, Cliff Bear, Joe Batt Sr., and Peter Haas. And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. The people who are remembering, if you have something that you remember about these people, if you could tell us something briefly about each person, I would love that. Eugenie Myris Abramson. Remember Eugenie? She was over 100 years old when she died. We buried her in Monroe. I remember that day. And Samuel Abramson. Steve Brainis. Died way too soon. John B. Cheatham III. He really was a lawyer. I don't think the Marx brothers stole that name from him, but he really was a lawyer. Dora Weiss Dibner. That's what we need to hear. Mrs. Ray Marks Gilbert. Loved by all. Isidore L. Goldman. Benny Goldstein. Irene Hermer. Francis Reuben Kreisman. You want to say anything? Rabbi David Lefkowitz Jr. How much time do you have? 45 years? The last few years, almost one of the primary things she would tell us was that her husband was a pediatrician. She was so proud of that fact that she remembered that even when she didn't remember much else. Philip Ben Lieber. Louis Matloff. Doris Katz Meltzer. Meyer Nathan Stadium. Jean Van Oss. And Helen S. Wilhelm. We like taking a moment and remembering and sharing what we remember. We've been doing this on Saturday mornings a lot, but it's nice to be able to take a moment and do it tonight too. Remember to share those memories with each other. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is on 154. You're welcome to read it in English on 155. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated unless you are under the age of 15 again. Then you can come on up and help me say a motzi so we can eat some more of Ruthie's delicious sweets. She didn't even realize. Come on, hold the bottom. Thank you. Bottom. You ready? One more. That's it. Come on, in. Ready? I got it. Thank you. Ready? And
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rising sung together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
I get the plate. You get the bread. Go. Thank you. Got it. Whew, almost couldn't get that. Take and share. There's more for adults, but take and share. Uh-huh. Yeah. There's more. Please rise for the closing benediction. This is a lovey-dovey group, isn't it? We came, we cuddled, it was a good day. We stayed warm. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. I had it hailing on us today, too. Did you feel that hail? Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face always be lifted up to you. May God grant you peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
אני אוהב אותך כל הזמן, אני רוצה אותך כל הזמן, אני